All right, greetings, fam. What boy? What? What? You want to go back outside? What? What? Um. So we'll see what. Gabster, can you see me on? Are you still on YouTube? Can you see if it's live on YouTube for me? Anyway, um, what I was saying was there was something else I wanted to bring up, and then I'm gonna get up out of here because I want to go dancing. Um. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there we are. I don't know what was going on, you guys. To see everybody jolly on the spot. Child, I've been up on here talking for 2 hours. 2 hours. Trying to figure out where everybody was because my screen was showing that my YouTube was running, but somebody on the TikTok was like, "Nope, you ain't live. You ain't live." So I'm sorry. Hopefully it saves because I was giving up the goods in here. I was giving up gold. You feel me? But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and try to wrap this up because I want to go dancing on the eve of this here full moon. Um, yeah, there's something else I wanted to share with you guys. And then what I'm gonna have to do is thank you for that Ken's color box and Sage Page and QB. Sage Page says tonight the moon is with the seven sisters. I guess that was why I needed to get up out here and go dancing. Yeah, so there was a couple of things. When I started talking about how the state, my frustration with spirituality, how it looks, I know that was a long digression or whatever, but there's a reason. The whole thing about the state has infected patriarchy. Thank you for the donation, dear Java Watson. No, it's not just you. Apparently, my live, even though it was showing that I was live, nobody could see it. So that's that police shit. You feel me? But anyway, one of the wasn't even a breakthrough. It was a revelation that happened this week. I was watching this this little documentary on Aleister Crowley, right? Oh, thank you for the donation, Sage Page. On Aleister Crowley, right? And Aleister Crowley, who coined himself the Beast, you know what I'm saying, was always wearing like the number 666, who all the people who supposedly tied to the Illuminati be bigging up Aleister Crowley, who was the influence of what's his name? Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, you feel me, or whatever. And the greatest what y'all call him? The esotericist. Ah, man, the TikTok just went off because it's with that bullshit.
So I did that other video and tried to do the Department of Ed one really quickly because I was like, I'm educated to the wine game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, resume. Why'd you stop it in the first place? Trifling. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, Zahara, for the donation. All right, TikTok. All right, TikTok. Uh-huh. Okay, so I'm back on TikTok. Like, look. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all right. So what I was saying is I was always talking about, as a matter of fact, I was talking to you guys not too long ago about how I've been going to the Manly P. Hall's place called the Philosophical Research Society here in I don't think that's what I'm really concerned about, man. I don't think TikTok does replays. And I was going in up in here for 2 hours. I was going in. So I don't know, man. It's really, I don't know. It might be lost to the ethos, y'all, because I don't think TikTok does replays. We shall see. But anyway, I started going to the Philosophical Research Society. That has been a journey that I have needed to have. I saw the documentary on Manly P. Hall's life and like the not so known aspects of his life and how controversial it was. His relationships, his esoteric relationships, like with Aleister Crowley and like what's his name, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and all of these dudes, right? The Theosophical Society, what's their name, Madame Blavatsky, all of these people who, quote, are responsible for what is coined the New Thought movement or the New Age movement of the late 1880s, right? The late 1880s into the early 1900s, and how all of these people were running in the same circles. I'm telling you, deep ties, right? Ties to the first wave, the founders of the first wave of feminism, to all of these, quote, secret societies. They were all running in the same circles. This was all happening while at the same time, this period in history. That's why I'm saying we cannot be seeing the world in these dichotomized, unrelated ways. Let me let these cats out because they about to stage a whole mutiny up in this joint. I hear you, Nine. I hear you, boy. I hear you. I hear you. Hold on just a second. I hear you, boy. I hear you. Little handsome self. Come on, boy. Come on, man. Now go ahead. So all of them were running in the same circles. All of them. And this was happening at the same time. This, quote, New Thought movement was happening at the same time that that this is how we have to study, y'all. This is how I'm trying to teach you how to study, okay? To not see things as is not connected, because this is a singular whole. Everything that happens affects the singular whole, okay? See history that way. See things that are seemingly unrelated that way. That way, okay? So the New Thought movement, the so-called New Age movement, was happening at the same time as what they were calling the Gilded Age. That was happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. Not only the Gilded Age, also what they call, what was it? The first Berlin Conference was happening at the same time. What was the Berlin Conference responsible for? I think it was 1883. 1883, the Berlin Conference was when the Roman Catholic Church was attempting to end the squabbling between all these European powers and called them into a conference, all the European powers, called the Berlin Conference, and carved up the colored world. They carved up Africa. The colonial borders that exist in Africa right now today was carved up at the Berlin Conference. Was South America, in North America was carved up. The entire world was carved up by the Pope, facilitating this conference to get the white people to end they beefing among each other, the French and the Spaniards and the Italians and the Portuguese and the Dutch. Look, there's plenty of loot out here for us to give. Stop fighting amongst yourselves. Let me carve and impose borders on this whole vast colored world that we have discovered, and we'll divvy out the pieces. And everything that is of wealth and value that exists within those lines that I have drawn as the Pope, everything that comes from that belonged to you. And then all the names became the names of the colonial powers or the resource that was coming from that place. Cameroon is called Cameroon to this day because was it the who is it? Is it the it's not the French? Is it the French? Is it the Portuguese? I think it's the Portuguese that were the colonizers of Cameroon. And the reason the colonizers called it Cameroon is because Cameroon means land of shrimp. It was a huge shrimping export for whoever the colonizer was. I want to say it was the Portuguese. What was Ghana? What was Ghana became the Gold Coast until Ghana liberated itself. What else? So on and so on and so on. You feel me? And so here, while during the quote Enlightenment, during the what do they call it? The New Age and New Thought movement, where all these white people was having these spiritual epiphanies and breakthroughs. Aleister Crowley. Imagine this was also around the time that this quote science of Egyptology was emerging. So as these white people are having these spiritual breakthroughs and shit at the height of the colonial conquest of the quote colored world, they having a spiritual quote breakthrough or spiritual movement at the height of the colonial process throughout what would become known as the third world. And so these people start going into the catacombs of Egypt and desecrating the burial grounds of the ancients of Egypt under the auspice of exploration and shit, science and shit. And so this science begins to inform this spiritual movement. Oh, well, if we want to have a spiritual breakthrough and download and shit, we need to go to Egypt too. So Madame Blavatsky, her Russian ass went to Egypt. Aleister Crowley, his ass went to Egypt. Isn't it interesting that all of these, quote, new thought, new age movement leaders was all going to colored places to have their breakthroughs and epiphanies, while at the same time they all hated black people. They all hated people of color. Oh, yes, they did. That was the line that connected them all. That was a line that connected them all. You understand me? Madame Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley goes to Egypt for a year. He writes a book called The Book of Thoth, T-H-O-T. His white British self writes a book called the Book of Thoth and declares that he and his white wife go to Egypt, visit the pyramids. He becomes the embodiment of Thoth, and Thoth, through him, dictates the Book of Thoth. So many of you have that deck, the Oracle deck, the Tarot deck, called the Deck of Thoth, not knowing Aleister Crowley created it, supposedly because he became the divine hand of Thoth as he scripted the Book of Thoth. You understand what I'm saying? First of all, imagine the level, the gargantuan, enormously incalculable audacity one must have to claim to be the embodiment of a primordial, ancient, black-ass deity named Thoth. Imagine the level of audacity one must have to do that. And to declare with that audacity, so convincingly that multitudes way past your death still validate that declaration. Imagine, And the thing that is so fascinating is You'll see Jay-Z sporting a shirt with Aleister Crowley on it. You understand what I'm saying? The Beast. You will see on the cover of one of the Beatles' most renowned albums a picture of Aleister Crowley. Led Zeppelin, who I love with all their contradictions, bought the home of Aleister Crowley. You will see all to this day people heralding and raising up. He was a thinker beyond his time, Aleister Crowley. And do you know, from day one, y'all, I was like, I'm just waiting on the information to reveal itself to me that will give me the what you call it, the evidence that I need to validate what I feel in my bones, in my flesh. He was the police. That everything he did was as the police. And what do I mean by that? We know that if you go see any single solitary Aleister Crowley documentary, and they are many, they'll tell you very minimally. They'll glance over it like it was just something that he did in the past. That Aleister Crowley began in his life of mediocrity. He in his early years alone, he was a British agent. He was a British operative. They'll tell you that. And then they'll quickly move on from there. No summation. No, he quit his job. No, he was at odds with what he was doing as a British intelligence officer. Nope, none of that. Just, well, at one time he did happen to be a British operative. I was like, once the police, always the police. That's what I said years ago when I started really getting into Aleister Crowley. I was like, once the police, always the police. Once the police, always the police. So how about I see it just this week? I see a documentary about Aleister Crowley. There were so many breakthroughs this week, y'all. They had me up in here in my feelings. That's why y'all ain't seen me. Because I was like, how do I process all this shit? I'm going to tell you about Aleister Crowley first. And then I got something else to tell you that had me up in here dismayed and bewildered. I'm still shook. But let me tell you this one quote from this documentary about Aleister Crowley, the police. Aleister Crowley, the double agent. Aleister Crowley. This documentary said, I want y'all to hear me, because I also tell y'all all the time that y'all, when I say they play in your face, I mean that. I mean, they play in your face. I'm always telling you to always be able to recognize when the strategy of strategic and weaponized incompetence is being used by your political leaders. It's easy for you to recognize when somebody is playing games in your face when you're in an intimate relationship with them. They gaslight the hell out of you. So at first you think you're crazy, but now you got TikTok and all these women particularly are putting you on, and all these men telling on themselves how they will deliberately play stupid so that they can unburden themselves with labor, because you get so mad at what you perceive is their stupidity or their ignorance. You feel me? And then you say, you know what? Bump it. I'll do it myself. Move out of the way. I'll do it myself, which is the reaction and the response that they intended to get out of you. Men telling each other on their TikToks and shit, I will deliberately break dishes when my wife or my girlfriend asks me to wash the dishes, because I know she'll get mad. Not only will she finish washing the dishes, but she will never ask me again to wash the dishes. So we have to be really, really, especially now, because I hear the conversation right now today where y'all stay calling Donald Trump stupid. You stay calling Donald Trump ignorant. You stay saying that he just dumb. You stay, today they talking about his health. And do he have the capacity to continue to lead? Stop doing that. This is strategic and weaponized incompetence. They did the same thing with Biden, that towards the end, when they just, quote, handed over the nomination to Kamala Harris, and those months before she was just handed the nomination, every single solitary TikTok was like, he was deliberately going and doing speeches and presentations and speaking in public and being like, He'll be saying something, and then just stop in the middle of and just look confused. Or he would stumble when he walking up the little railway thing to go to the plane. I was like, look, they are playing in your face. And they've done it with so many presidents. They did it with Bill Clinton. They did it with George Bush II. They did it with Trump during his first administration. They did it with Biden. So in your face, it was disgusting. And then they did it here with this Trump too. It is weaponized incompetence, because what weaponized incompetence does, one of the things that it does, is it attempts to reduce the gravity of the crimes committed by those playing stupid. It is an attempt to reduce. It is an attempt to minimize the gravity of the crimes committed by those playing dumb, playing stupid, playing feeble. He's just too feeble to lead. But let me tell you what just happened. Last month, November, when y'all went out to the polls and Democrats swept the elections and all of this stuff, and everybody was, yay, the Democrats, yay. The very next day, I saw a speech made by Biden. The feeble, the weak, he can barely move. People talking about Trump's legs, talking about his cankles. Shut up. Biden, the day after the Democrats swept all them elections, all of a sudden, Bible is his militant self. And when I say militant self, I mean the self that he used to disrespect you black-skinned people while he was running. If with his whole chest, that if you black and you don't vote for me, then you ain't really black. You feel me? With his whole chest. That was the Biden I just saw last month. Make a whole 1 hour presentation without missing a beat, without stumbling over a single word. Calling Trump out his name, like he was up there with his whole chest again. I said, what happened to feeble little Biden from just last year? What happened to, he's staring to the camera. They play in your face. They play in your face. Strategic and weaponized incompetence is not just about your interpersonal relationships. Your interpersonal relationships have been informed by the perpetual, ongoing, easily used weapon of or instrument of strategic and weaponized incompetence by your political leaders. That's why they don't ever have to come through with a single promise that they make you, because it's always some inherent weakness on their part. It's always some inherent weakness on their part that just couldn't allow them to do it. Just couldn't allow them to come through on a single promise that they made you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let me say, the reason I'm saying this is because of what this quote said about Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley came to the United States in the year 1914. Aleister Crowley came to the United States in the year 1914. Understand me? First of all, Google events of 1914. It was an extraordinarily important year. Extraordinarily important year. Aleister Crowley came to the United States. As a matter of fact, 1914 was the first year of the First World War. Aleister Crowley, as a matter of fact, 1914 was the year Marcus Garvey left Jamaica and came to New York looking for the black organization he had been hearing about in Jamaica called the NAACP, and went to the headquarters in New York and found an office full of white-skinned people, Jews, white-skinned people, as the founders and facilitators of the programs of the NAACP. He was like, damn, I got the right building? What? And so he was like, yo, this shit is crazy. How is it these white-skinned people are the founders and facilitators of the NAACP? He was like, I got to create my own shit. 1914 was the year that Marcus Garvey created the Universal Negro Improvement Association, the UNIA. 1914 was the year that gave us the red, black, and green flag that we love so dear right now. Touch one, touch all. Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. Huh? That within 2 years, 1914 to 1916, he had created an organization of paid members of 10 million people. In 1914, with no internet, with no telephones. 1914 was an enormously electric year. Politically, economically, everything. And in 1914, Aleister Crowley comes to, British operative Aleister Crowley comes to the United States of America under the auspice of being a deep philosophical purveyor of theosophy and the New Thought, New Age movement, the counter to what was happening religiously in this country. You understand what I'm telling you? Let me tell you what they say about Aleister Crowley and how all of this comes together. Quote, he, Aleister Crowley, moved in and out of various spaces effortlessly because, quote, no one took him seriously. Does that sound like strategic and weaponized incompetence? Because no one took him seriously, he was able to effortlessly move in and out of various spiritual spaces. I was like, oh my God. They go on to say, usually Crowley's theatrics, seances, candle magic, ceremonial experiments, chants. It says usual. Let's see. Okay. It says he moved in and out of various spaces effortlessly because no one took him seriously. Usually because of his theatrics, seances, candles, ceremonial experiments, chants. In his diaries, his personal diaries, it says that while he was, quote, facilitating ceremony, that he was actually watching everybody in the room, y'all. He's supposed to be in a deep trance, facilitating ceremony with the candles and the seances and the chanting and shit. Meanwhile, in his diaries, he's writing, I was watching everybody. It says, in his diaries, he says that he was conducting tests of, in his own diaries, he was conducting controlled tests of suggestion, altered states, psychological influence, and he used specific words, gestures, substances, and settings. He wanted to understand, this is from his diary, he wanted to understand how belief changed behavior, how expectation shaped perception, and how easily a person's judgment could be redirected with the right symbolic triggers and psychological observation. This in 1914, y'all. This ain't in the 1960s. This ain't MK Ultra. This ain't the 1950s. This is in 1914 and before. They say that in his diaries, though his observers and followers and participants think that they were really participating in a genuine spiritual experience, he was conducting controlled tests of suggestion, altered states, psychological influence. He used specific words, gestures, substances, and settings. He wanted to analyze how belief changed behavior, how perception shaped, how expectation shaped perception, and how easily a person's judgment could be redirected with the right symbolic triggers and psychological observation. Listen to what else they said. He did this decades earlier than the United States government. You have to remember, J. Edgar Hoover, right? The most wicked man probably in United States history. J. Edgar Hoover got his start in the FBI in 1914. His first assignment was infiltrating the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association. J. Edgar Hoover's first assignment as a barely 23-year-old FBI agent in 1914 was to find a way to infiltrate the UNIA. This is happening at the same time that Aleister Crowley is coming over here talking about a new thought, new age movement. And he is a British operative. This the same time. You understand? Why am I saying that? Because J. Edgar Hoover created the foundation of infiltration that we know to be synonymous with the FBI and subsequently the CIA. It says decades earlier than the United States government, this lone traveling mystic who claims to be the embodiment of the ancient deity Thoth is moving in and out without challenge, without suspicion, moving in and out of every ceremonial spiritual space he can get his hands on to collect very thorough notes on the experiments he was conducting. Listen to this. He, the beast, historians traced his movements. Listen to this, y'all, and tell me the state ain't up in your shit. The beast. Historians traced his movements across decades and continents. Historians traced his movements across decades and continents. What they saw was a structured, it says, they traced his movements across decades and continents. A structured pattern began to emerge. Not the erratic wanderings of a wandering mystic. No, not the of a wandering mystic, but the outline. This is what the state said about him. Not the erratic wanderings of a wandering mystic, but the outline of a man navigating the early architecture of modern intelligence. Y'all hear me? The state's observation of his movements over decades. He didn't die until the 1970s, y'all. He didn't die until the 1970s. Aleister Crowley. He was an old ass man when he died. He came in the early 1900s to the United States. And it says a pattern began to emerge when the state is, because the state is who possesses his diaries. The government is who possesses his diaries. And what historians have traced as his movements across decades and continents was a structured pattern began to emerge. Not the erratic wanderings of a mystic, but the outline of a man navigating the early architecture of modern intelligence from the year 1913 to 1945. To the year 1945. Understand me? And that got me on something, because when I say that the state has infected, I want y'all to hear me. This is the early birth phase of what y'all now call MK Ultra, of the King Code Alfred Plan, and all of these secret programs of the United States government, specifically around the use of psychedelics and mind control and all of this shit. And how, what's his name? Timothy Leary, quote, the discoverer of LSD, who was working for the state when he just conveniently discovered acid and was like, the hippies need to have this so they can broaden their minds. No. So the government could make of all of these would-be rebels, they can make them now agents. You are an agent. I'm just trying to tell you, you're an agent. I had a breakthrough, because I told y'all a few weeks ago, I saw this documentary about the failure of the anti-war movement was directly because all of these white people who had entered into what was the anti-war movement with the Black Panther Party, became followers of Malcolm X and participators in the civil rights movement. All these young, could see with their eyes, these young, angsty white people was like, this is messed up. This messed up. We're going to join the anti-war movement. And the state was like, we can't have it. We cannot have young, energetic white people siding with the black folks, siding with the Vietnamese, siding with the poor people of the world. We can't have that. We can't have that. How can we bust up the solidarity? This documentary says that the so-called hippie movement, the free love movement, was a state orchestrated direct response to the anti-war movement. Now, the peace movement, the hippie movement, the free love movement is not about staging an outright antagonistic aggression against the culture of war that was showing up everywhere in the world at the same time. Now it becomes about free love and going to hippie events naked and taking LSD and broadening your minds. And if everybody took LSD, then the world would be better because we would know how to be better people. That the peace movement was a contest waged by the state to destroy the anti-war movement. Do you hear me? And the method that they used to do that was music and drugs. Yes, music and drugs. Yeah. And so here we are, 50, almost 60 years later. Almost 60 years later, right? And every single body you meet in California that calls themselves spiritual are talking about, I've had people say it verbatim, word for word, out their mouth. If everybody did ayahuasca at least one time, I'm convinced we could change the world. Huh? I get it, Cassandra. I get that you are really convicted politically, but the real war is a spiritual war. And we have to do that work through sitting with Mama Aya. Same thing with what's her name? Maria Sabina, the guardian of the ancient Mexica medicine that we call psilocybin today. And she messed up and let a white boy come and do the medicine. And he promised out his mouth that this sacred ceremony will remain between me and you. And came right back to the United States and wrote a whole tell-all book about this sacred ceremony facilitated to him by this great custodian of the medicine. And then all of a sudden, she said it herself in an interview. As soon as he came back, betrayer of the mother that he was, that all of a sudden, the next people coming to see her was the Beatles. Was George Harrison. You understand? Was what's his name? All the Beatles was going to Mexico to do mushrooms with sacred psilocybin with Mama Sabina. And what did they do? Opened up the floodgates of white people, quote, seeking the face of God. Maria Sabina in an interview said, all these white people, all these Europeans started coming to Mexico, and when they would come to do medicine with me, they would all say the same thing. They would say that the reason they were coming to do medicine was so that they could see the face of God. And she said, that always confused me because I'm like, where did God go? Okay? She said, where did God go? Why is she apart from you? Why do you perceive that she is apart from you? Where did God go? What you mean you looking for the face of God? Where she went? And then, like they do, in their separation from the mother, in their self-imposed isolation from the mother, they destroyed her, Maria Sabina. They destroyed her village. She was ostracized by her people for, quote, allowing this plague to descend upon them. What was the plague? White people who in their affliction is what? Their separation and self-imposed isolation from the mother, came and did what they do. And here we are again. Now it's not Maria Sabina in Mexico. Now it's Peru being descended upon by spiritual tourists trying to find God by evading her everywhere she show her face. Because what they're evading is what they can see. You see what I'm saying? What they're evading is what they can see. They can see God everywhere they look. And because she looked the way that she do, they like, this can't be God. I got to go find him somewhere because this ain't God. I don't want to see this. I don't want to hear this. And so they go everywhere. And it's interesting because they will always go looking for God in some colored place. Not only some colored place, the other thing that they must do is always got to go try to find God in some colored place where the majority of colored faces are poor. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Why you white people always trying to go somewhere where colored poor people be to, quote, find God? Why y'all do that? Why y'all do that? Why y'all be going? Yeah, I saw this video the other day. They had me up in here hollering. I got to find this video. It was an Indian woman, a young woman that was going off. Let me see if I can find this video. Y'all hold up just a second. Let me see if I can find this video. She was going in. Hold on. Y'all give me just a second. I got to find this video because I don't even want to paraphrase what she said. It was so good. Oh, it was so good. She said, why is it that everything that we say is sacred, everything that we as Hindus say we love, worship, and adore is what we treat the worst? Why we do that? Why we do that? Hey, let me find this video because I only watched it a couple days ago, so it's got to be somewhere back here in my I watched so much stuff over the last 48 hours. Come on. Here it is. She said this, the name of it is why India's religion is failing India. Hold on. Let me bring my live back up. Hold on. I found it. The name, I'm gonna just play just a little. Y'all on TikTok, if y'all want to see what I'm playing, come on over here to YouTube. But I'm gonna play a little bit.
Cow in India. She died choking on the garbage that we threw on the streets. That's the same animal we call as Gomata, the same animal we worship as a mother. Now look at this video. This is the Minister of Punjab. This is the same river that Guru Nanak Ji once 71 kilograms. That's how much plastic garbage was found in the stomach of a pregnant cow in India. She died choking on the garbage that we threw on the streets. That's the same animal we call as Gomata, the same animal we worship as a mother. Now look at this video. This is the Chief Minister of Punjab. He drank water from this river just to prove that it's clean and not polluted. This is the same river that Guru Nanak Ji once took a dip, a river that's been considered holy by the Sikhs. But within 2 days of drinking that water, he felt so sick that he had to be airlifted to the hospital. Not even by road, but by helicopter. Just think about that. We call ourselves the most spiritual country in the world. Here, rivers are goddesses, trees are sacred, even food has a goddess. We don't just respect nature, we literally worship it. But here's the part nobody wants to talk about. The Ganga, our most sacred river, is one of the most polluted in the world. India has 13 out of the 20 most polluted cities on the planet. We waste 78 million tons of food every single year. Cows are dying eating our garbage. So tell me, If everything is so sacred, why everything is so broken? How did we become a country that sees God in everything and still destroys everything we call divine? Because this is not just about one dead cow or one dirty river, it's a pattern that runs through everything we call sacred.
Yes.
Start with rivers. We don't just respect them, we give them the status of mothers and goddesses. Millions of people in India believe Ganga can wash away their sins, and I am one of those millions because when my father came back from Kashi, he bought a small bottle of Ganga water which was literally treated as Tirtham. That's how sacred it is. Every day in Kashi, thousands of people gather on the ghats for the Ganga Aarti twice a day. It looks so divine, feels so magical. Imagine people made it a part of their culture to start and end their day by paying respect to the same river that gives them life. But today, while the Aarti happens on the one side, on the other side, almost 1 billion liters of drainage water flow into the same river every single day. And the Yamuna River gets around 800 million liters of untreated sewage every single day. Just imagine that. Government data says that the fecal bacteria level in it is over 2.2 million times higher than the what's safe for bathing. You know what's fecal bacteria? It basically means human waste, poop, mixing with the water. So when people take a dip thinking it's holy, they're actually stepping into the water filled with poop. And it's not like we have not tried to fix it. Since 1993, the government has spent more than 38,000 crores to clean the Ganga. But how will any cleanup work when the sewage pipes are still emptying their tanks into the river? Now let's talk about food. We call it Annapurna Devi. We say wasting food is a sin, but India wastes 78 million tons of food every single year. That's second highest in the whole world. That's food worth over 92,000 crore rupees. To put that in perspective, that amount could literally feed the entire population of Bihar for one full year. And all this is happening while millions of people in our country suffer from malnutrition. We call farmers Annadata, the food givers. Politicians touch their feet, but over 296,000 farmers committed suicide between 1995 and 2013. In 2022 alone, over 11,000 farmer deaths were recorded. And animals. You'll find almost every animal you can think of in some Indian temple or the other. From snakes to elephants, we worship them all. But look at this video. This is from Nagapanchami in Bihar. Is this really how we worship snakes? By catching them, hurting them, all in the name of devotion? And how did they even find so many snakes in the first place? And you already know the condition of cows in our cities. In Lucknow alone, 1,000 cows die every year from eating plastic waste. Their postmortem shows 50 to 60 kilos of garbage inside their stomachs. And now goddesses, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, we touch their feet as mothers, sisters and wives. But just look around, India still remains one of the most unsafe countries for women. Every day headlines talk about assaults, harassment and domestic abuse. Just see the pattern. Everything we call holy, rivers, food, forest, animal, even women, is what we end up hurting the most. Everything we worship is also everything we are destroying.
Yes.
Now let's look outside India for a second. Japan does not have a Ganga Mata. They don't have rivers, goddesses, but their tap water in Tokyo, the capital city, is so clean that you can literally drink it straight from the faucet because they tested for over 290 safety parameters. Back in the 1960s and 70s, even Japan's rivers were horribly polluted during the industrial boom, but they did not pray to clean them. They passed very strict environmental laws, treatment plants, and made polluting companies pay huge fines. They kept a close watch on the water quality year after year. It took them decades, but they actually fixed it. And the European Union doesn't do cow pujas, but they have some of the strongest animal welfare laws in the world, and they actually enforce them. They have banned battery cages for hens, improved how animals are supposed to be transported, and set proper welfare standards that are far better than what we have in India. So the pattern is clear now. Countries that don't worship often protect better, not because they're less spiritual, but because they have built actual systems. Because the real protection does not come from prayers, it comes from policy, from laws, enforcement, funding, and the will to make things thing, India was not always like this. There was a time when worship actually meant taking responsibility. When calling something sacred came with the duty to protect it. Back then, religion and responsibility were not two different things. They were literally the same thing. Take forests, for example. For thousands of years, villagers protected the small patches of land not because they studied environmental sciences, but simply because they believed their gods lived there. That's exactly what Kantara showed us, right? People protecting their forest like it was their temple. And just around 300 years ago, in Rajasthan's Bishnoi community, over 300 people sacrificed their lives to save trees. Those forests gave them medicine, clean air, rain, and water. And everyone knew if you cut those trees, it was not just a sin, it was pure stupidity because those trees were the reason you survived. And then the water systems, those big ponds and rivers that you see near the temples, they were not just built for decoration or rituals, they were smart water management systems. They stored rainwater, cooled the surroundings, recharged the groundwater, and prevented floods. Villagers maintained them like it's their lifeline. The temple and the water bodies, they work together. If you polluted one, you could not worship the other. Even cows were not just the symbols of motherhood, they were the backbone of the rural life. They gave milk, their dung became fertilizer and fuel, they helped in farming and everything. People took care of them, not because they were divine figures in pictures, but because their life on them. For them, sacredness was not some fancy word or emotion, it was just how life worked for them. Worship was not just about lighting lamps and walking away, it meant taking care of what you just worshipped. That was the rule, very simple. So, what actually broke that link and where did things started going wrong? It was when the Britishers came. No, listen, I'm not here to say, oh, Britishers ruined everything. They are the reason for all the mess that we are. I'm not going to say that. It's more about a systematic gap that happened during the Britishers' time. They did not ban Hinduism or stop people from praying. They did something much smarter and much more dangerous. They separated religion from responsibility. Let me explain. Before the British came, most Indian communities managed their own land, water, and forest. They did not wait for the government to act because they were the government. Villages cleaned their tanks, protected their forest, shared their water, grew food together. It was all local, all connected. You can see how efficient the village administrative system during the Cholas period. But the British did not want that. They wanted revenue. So they started collecting heavy taxes that had to be paid, whether the harvest was good or bad. Farmers were forced to grow cash crops like cotton and indigo, things the British needed instead of what the local community actually needed. And once that balance broke, the bond between the villagers, the people, the cattle, the land also broke. And then came the centralization. Between 1859 to 77, the new laws gave the British government full control over the rivers and water bodies. For thousands of years, villagers managed their own wells and water tanks, but now suddenly, people did not just lose control, they also lost their sense of responsibility. Because when something is not yours anymore, why would you protect it? And finally, they wrote the Hindu law. They turned the Dharma, which was once about duty and responsibility, into just a set of rituals. Earlier, your religion was not about what prayer you said or what festival you celebrated. It was about how you lived, your duty to your family, your community, and to the world around you. But under the British system, meaning disappeared. Religion became personal, just about festivals and ceremonies, not about how we take care of things that's ours. You see what really happened here? The British did not destroy your religion, they just emptied it from within. The outer shell stayed, temples, festivals, rituals, all of it, but the soul, the connection between the belief and responsibility was quietly cut out. And after that, everything that is sacred became symbolic. The river was still holy, but no one felt responsible for it. The forest was still divine, but no one protected it. The cow was still Gaumata, but she was left on the streets to starve. The body of our culture survived, but its spirit of responsibility slowly died. And that's exactly what we become today, a country that only performs worship, thinking dropping a bunch of things in the river is going to solve all our problems.
Listen.
Take Varanasi for example. Every evening, thousands of people gather on the ghats for Ganga Aarti. It's beautiful. Hundreds of lamps floating on the river, bells ringing, chants echoing across the water. The whole scene feels extremely divine. But while all the devotion is happening, that same river is carrying a billion liters of sewage water every single day right beneath those lamps. And Ganga also collects around 315 tons of plastic waste every single day. The same religious gatherings that are meant to purify the soul have now become some of the biggest sources of pollution. The Panditji told you to do this, so once you do this, your job is done. You just walk away and never look back. Because somewhere, religion became an act or a performance. We still do the rituals, we follow the customs, we even post selfies and videos, but the responsibility that once came with it, that is gone. It's not the people have become less spiritual, it's just that spirituality has become more convenient. And honestly, we can't even blame the people completely because after centuries of broken systems, many have stopped believing that anything will ever going to change. That helplessness, that what can one person do mindset still exists. So people hold on to what they can control. You can't fix the government, but you can light a lamp. You can't clean the Ganga, but you can offer a flower. It gives you instant peace, even if nothing is ever going to change outside. And that's how the contradiction survives. Faith gives comfort, but not change. We have replaced the responsibility with ritual, and most of us don't even realize it. But understand one thing, the British could have broken the system, but we never rebuilt it. It's been 77 years since independence. 3 full generations have gone. We have built skyscrapers, IT parks, expressways, but we never rebuilt the simple local system that actually held this country together. Instead, we kept the same colonial system, centralized system, bureaucratic, filled with files and committees where responsibility sits somewhere in a distant office. And we even made it bigger, more departments, more ministries, more meetings, everything except the local accountability. And while all this was happening, we doubled down on rituals. We built bigger temples, louder festivals, and taller statues. Today's India's temple economy is worth over 6 lakh crore rupees. But our government still says we don't have enough money to clean the rivers, fix sewage systems, and improve schools. We proudly fund the symbols of devotion but ignore the systems of change, because building a temple makes headlines, but building a sewage plant doesn't. A new temple gives you the spotlight, but a new waste management system doesn't. Nobody gets political mileage from building a sewage treatment plant, and no one takes selfies in front of a clean water management system. So those projects always stay invisible and underfunded.
Yeah, come on in the room.
And the truth is, it's not like the change is impossible, it's just that we stop believing that we can do it. Take Japan again. Their rivers were once as dirty as us. It took them decades and a lot of effort, but they actually cleaned them. They actually made ground level changes and policy amendments. And that's exactly what we need. Not louder devotion, but a deeper responsibility. Because being spiritual does not mean we only fold our hands to worship. We should also be ready to roll up our sleeves to work on the ground. If you want to pray to Ganga, stop the sewage, demand working treatment plants, support policies that punish the polluters. If you want to harness Saraswati, don't just post quotes on Teachers' Day. Fund the education, respect teachers through fair pay, good schools, and honesty in taxes. If you want to respect Durga, make sure the women around you are safe. Not just in temples, but in buses, offices, and on the streets. And if you want to save the cow, stop using single-use plastic, segregate your waste, support the proper disposable systems. Because gods don't need your rituals anymore. They need your responsibility.
Yo, okay. Listen, I found her. You feel me? She just came through it for you. Let me put the hold on just a second. Let me grab the link and put it in the comment section. She came through my For You one day, and I was like, come on in the room. The next one that she did, Go ahead and go into the wormhole like I did. Because the next one that she did was on the sexists of India. Baby, she raked Gandhi over the coals. Okay? She raked Gandhi over the coals, among others. She raked Gandhi over the coals. She did that. She did that. Oh, I don't know who she is, but I'm trying to meet this young woman because she did every video on her page. That was the first one I saw, the one I just showed y'all. But every video on her page, so well researched, so articulately just bang. It's just like punch after punch, jab after jab. Like, woo, baby, she did that. Yes, snatching wigs and edges. Yes, she did that. It was so good. Is that not what we've been talking about all this time? Isn't that not how I started 2 hours ago, this live, about having such a difficult time articulating my frustration with the presentation of spirituality, especially out here? And the reason why I mentioned that and then went ahead and showed y'all that video is because I was talking about Aleister Crowley. And Aleister Crowley is just one of the myriad, y'all. The myriad of weapons used against a fully embodied spiritual practice. It is deliberately intended and created to take you someplace else, just like she said. Why I said I will never engage in pomp and circumstance. It's just what she said. The ceremony become everything, even though it is vacant. It is empty. Ain't nothing in it. God don't live there. God don't live in that ceremony because God is not evidentiary in the surroundings where the ceremony is facilitated. She's like, how you gonna call? And isn't it interesting when I'm talking to y'all about the sun gone rogue and how the sun gone rogue always attacks the yin. The yin is what? The rivers, like she said. The cows, like she said. The food, like she said. The forest, like she said. What did she say about all of those? The rivers, the cows, the forest. They all call Ma. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Is that just a spiritual way to articulate what I said? That all things in are those that are substances. It's the earth. It's the trees. It's the water. It's the air. That in Indian culture for 4,000 years, every river was known as Ma, whoever she was. Ma Saraswati, Ma Ganga. The cows known as Ma Ganga. You see all the people that was bowing to the women's feet when it says that that in the Kali Yuga, the only ones that would be spared the mother's judgment is those who worshipped at the lotus of their mother's feet and treated their women as gods in their homes. And so all of these prostrations, these in the video that you just saw, everybody touching their head to these women's feet. But she say that India right now is one of the top 10 unsafest places for women to be at on earth. As a matter of fact, let me just say, because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that spirituality has to be embodied. Spirituality has to be political. It has to be ecological. It has to be gynocentric. You understand what I'm saying? And so hold on just a second. Let me pull up another screen real quick. Like, which one is it? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's see how I can do this. Let's start here. Let's do it like this. Okay. I don't know why you cannot. My damn. Okay. Can y'all see me? My screen froze for a minute. Can y'all see me? Are y'all still able to see me on YouTube? This is the last thing I'm gonna say because I still have time to go cut a rug. Can y'all still see me? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. This is the last thing I'm gonna show because this video this girl did is gangster. It's everything. Those of you who are tuning in via TikTok, I'm gonna try to pan the screen around again. Hopefully y'all can see that. Maybe not. But y'all can always go back to the YouTube and check out the replay. Okay. What I'm looking at here is it's from, let's see. It is from, where did I put these notes? It is from a website called the International, here it is, the International Coalition Against Illicit Economics. Okay. International Coalition Against Illicit Economics. And so today, in the United States of America, okay? Wait a minute. Let's see. In the U.S. today, there is approximately, today. In the U.S. today, there are approximately 1,091,000 slaves in the United States of America today. Okay. Globally, the low estimates are 50 million human beings held as slaves on the worldpopulationreview.com. Worldpopulationreview.com. Okay. These numbers that you're looking at right across the top are the places that have the highest number of slaves today. India, 11,050,000 slaves in India. China, 5,771,000 slaves. North Korea, 2,696,000 slaves. Pakistan, 2,349,000 slaves. Russia, 1,899 slaves. United States of America, 1,091,000 slaves. Brazil, 1,053,000 slaves. Hold on. I don't know why you cannot move this thing from this page, which is so bizarre to me. Yeah, that's so weird. Let me scroll up. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So after I think Russia is Nigeria with 1,611,000. Turkey, 1,320,000. Bangladesh, 1,162,000. United States, 1 million. Brazil, 1,053,000. Philippines, 859,000. Mexico, 850,000. On and on. On and on. What is it? 50 million human beings today enslaved on. Okay. Now, why am I saying this after allowing y'all to watch this little 15-minute throwdown that the young sister from India put down? Because it's all connected. It's all connected. Right now, today, there are 3,028 billionaires on Earth, and a third of them are in the United States. A third of the global billionaires is in the United States. And the modest estimates of their collective wealth, the global billionaires, the 3,000, is $16 trillion. $16 trillion. There's another website that I opened up. I won't go through it now because I'm trying to get up out of here. $16 trillion, which is a very modest estimate. When you talk about this website that was talking about the illicit economies, then you start to really see this $16 trillion is a very modest estimate. And this $16 trillion and the 5 top burgeoning illicit industries or illicit economics is directly tied to the necessity for 50 million people on the planet to be slaves, meaning they are not getting paid for their labor at all. That's not even including, they are not even factored into those, the 3/4 of the global population that are being, 3/4 of the global population is surviving on less than $10 a day. 3/4 of the population on earth is surviving on $10 or less a day. And there is some weird disconnect between billionaires and 3/4 of the global population surviving off less than $10 a day. You understand? And so I'm gonna end it by saying this. There's so much more I wanted to say, but I think I said enough. I will reiterate that you are the one that you have been waiting for. The quote, Messiah is you. I know you don't want to hear that. The Messiah is you. Why? Because the Son is you. Why? Because the Emperor is you. Why? Because the bridge is you. You the one that you have been always looking outside yourself for. But your ass has been blinded by the light. You've been blinded by the light. And so when you blind by the light, you can't see nothing. It's broad daylight, but you can't see nothing because the light's so bright. You can't see nothing as it truly is. You can't see nothing as it truly is. So I will go back to what I said. Trust your flesh before all else. Your flesh is just as much a part of the body of God as your spirit. You are not separate from your flesh. You are not imprisoned by your flesh. Your flesh is not, quote, just the vehicle your spirit get to run around in. Your flesh is just as much God as your spirit. It is your flesh that is the intermediary. It is your flesh that is the messenger. It is your flesh that informs your spirit, not the other way around. It is your flesh that informs your spirit. What is your flesh? It's this. Your blood, your bones, your neurons, your electrons. You understand? Your hormones, your neurotransmitters, the electrical current flowing through you all the time, right? This is your flesh. This is your spirit. If this is your flesh and this is your spirit, what did I tell you this is? This is your mother. This is your son. This is your mother. This is your son. You hear me? Not the other way around. This is your mother. This is your son. This has to pre-exist before this can exist. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that. If I had more time, I'd explain it to you in scientifical terms. I would explain it to you as a scientist because science says it too, but you just don't know how to. You don't understand science as a sovereign being. You understand science as a slave, which is what they intended. You don't understand science as a total sovereign being. You understand science as a slave, which is what they intended. You understand? So trust your flesh before all else. You understand? Trust your feelings, them goosebumps you get, them little hairs standing on end, the little flutter of your chest, the little butterflies in your gut. Trust that first. because this is the evidence that your subconscious mind, that your limbic system, your ancient self is watching out for you before you can even consciously understand there's a threat. Before you can consciously perceive a threat, your subconscious mind, your ancient self, your limbic system is like, look, something ain't right. Give you the spidey senses. Give you the something ain't right. Trust you. Trust your flesh before all else. That's point number one. Sin for salvation. If the seven deadly sins, is lust and gluttony and what's the other one? Pride and what's the other ones? Lust, gluttony, pride, rage. What's the other three, y'all? Sloth. What's the other two? Wrath is rage. What's the other two? Dang. I got that. Pride, wrath, sloth, gluttony, lust, envy. Yeah, envy. What's the last one? And that's good. That's good, QB. Let's write them all down so I don't forget none. Envy, sloth, gluttony, wrath, sloth, pride, envy, gluttony. We got pride. Wrath, sloth, pride, envy, gluttony. Dang, man. Dang. Envy, sloth, pride, gluttony, rage or wrath, lust. There's one more. Lust. Damn, there's one more. Lust. And greed. Oh my God, thank you. Greed. There we go. Wrath, sloth, pride, envy, gluttony, lust, and greed. There you go. Them the seven deadly sins. They the seven deadly sins. Break them all. Break them all. I'm saying, break them all. Break them all. Break them all. Your rage, your rebellion. What they say? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. That's what the Bible say, don't it? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Be the witch, bitch. Be the witch. Be the witch. Hold on. Break them all. Because you, as your divine self, living harmoniously within the desires of the mother. Isn't that what we said with the reading of the new conspiracy earlier? My desires are divine because they are aligned with my mother's desires. When you desire something, you desire, I know you, all of y'all, you desire something, you desire it for yourself and those around you, don't you? You won't want just your life to be happy. You pray for what? The good of the whole. Don't you pray for that? When you be doing your meditation, you'll be saying, I want everything that my heart's desire, but nothing at no one else's expense. Don't you say that? Why you say that? Because inherently you know that when you are well and the whole is well, y'all are all well. That wealth will be a non-issue because she provides abundantly. Don't you inherently feel that? Don't you inherently know that? Lust. How would lust? In what world would lust? In what world would the pleasures of your flesh be a one-way ticket to hell? In a world where, what did Mary Daly tell us? The original sin was to be born she. To be born she. That's the world. Unlike your Father God, who tells you to abstain, who tells you to submit in rituals of fasting and praying, you understand, to whip and punish your flesh. You feel me? That suffering is a sacrament. You feel me? That if you can display, what if you can take up your cross and suffer like me? You feel me? This is the evidence that you love me. Your mama don't ask you to do no shit like that, do she? And I'm not talking about your metaphysical mama. I'm talking about your actual mother. The actual demonstration of the relationship between God and her son in the first 2 years of your life before her conditioning start kicking in. Do she tell you, don't be gluttonous, give me that bottle, you can't have no more? Do she tell you that? She said, baby, eat to your fill. Greed becomes one of the 7 deadly sins. Even as you grown, when you go home for your Thanksgiving or your Christmas dinner, your mama say, you want another plate, baby? You sure you full? She tells you, eat to your fill. She don't tell you greedy. She say, eat to your fill. Your whole life has been about lack. You need to diet. You don't need to eat so much. Stop eating 3/4 of the way before you full. Meanwhile, and I don't want to get that deep on y'all. I don't want to go into a whole medical thing with y'all. But your mama say, eat till you feel. Your mother is delighted when you play. When you go out to the playground and play and you just like in it. You like, yay, the sand. You just play. Your mama's like, look at my baby. My baby's so cute. Look at my baby. This is my boo. Your mother is delighted by your play. Sloth? In what world does sloth become a deadly sin other than a world where they need to extract every ounce of labor out of you? How dare you sleep in? What you mean sleeping in? What you mean taking a nap? Quote, sloth, laziness doesn't exist in your mama's world, does it? Your mama say, my baby need to take naps all day. Them first 2 years, baby need to take a nap. Baby, I can tell the baby tired. Baby sitting there trying to fight to keep her eyes open so she don't miss nothing. Let me get my baby a nap. Let you take as many naps as you want, don't she? Sloth is a language used by slave owners. By slave owners. Wrath. First of all, you don't even understand the concept of wrath until you live in a world where you come to understand oppression. Because wrath is the only reaction that one should come to, the only conclusion that one should come to in the face of oppression. Wrath wouldn't exist if oppression didn't exist, baby. Wrath, rage would not exist if oppression didn't exist. Think about your life as a baby. When did you get mad? You rarely ever got mad from 0 to 2. Why? Because your mama was ever present. Every time you just whimpered a little, she running to you. What's wrong with the baby? What's wrong with the baby? What is this? Is this a hungry cry? Is this a I wet my pants cry? Is this a I got a poopy butt cry? Is this a I ain't getting enough attention cry? Her whole existence centers around your perpetual happiness. Isn't that something? And you are told from the very beginning of your life that you do not deserve perpetual happiness, that you do not deserve perpetual pleasure. That your father, unlike your mother, says you must learn to find happiness in suffering. That you must accept that suffering is the only lot in your life that will guarantee you a prosperous afterlife. And you can only get this prosperous afterlife after you suffer in the life that your mother has given you. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? You literally didn't have a care in the world the first couple of years of your life. Literally, like actually, you didn't have a care in the world. You understand? Until punishment became the consequence for curiosity. Until spanking on your legs or popping your hand with the cooking spoon became the response for curiosity, for questioning, for rebellion. I know that some of y'all have seen this video that has been floating around the internet for about a week now of the young girl. It was really hard to watch. It was so hard to watch, of the young girl who was, I guess, at church on Thanksgiving or whatever, and all these little kids was brought up to the front of the church, and they were given the microphone, and each one of them had to say what they was thankful for. And the oldest of the children said she was thankful for her stepmother, and her mother got mad. Her mother got angry. They're in the church. Her mother got angry and took the mic from her and said, yeah, it was hard to watch. I watched the whole thing. It was hard to watch because I remember being this baby. I remember the rage and the powerlessness of being in that situation, to have grown people have their hands on me that I didn't know, telling me something was inherently wrong with me, trying to pray a demon out of me, grabbing my head and grabbing my grown ass men in front of a church. I was humiliated and angry and outraged. I remember being that baby. And what was even more outrageous was that this baby was being subdued. Her giant was being subdued by a bunch of black captive women. I could just see, oh my God. Oh my God. That video hurt my spirit so hard. Oh, 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 oh. That her voice meant nothing. That her thanks meant nothing. That her mother in that moment, in her conditioning, became her arch enemy. And then called all of these women to the space. All of these women surrounding this baby. Man, all of these women surrounding this baby. There were 4 women literally on her body, surrounding her, hands on her head, hands on her chest, talking about praying a demon out of her. And then when the camera pans back, baby, I'm thinking it's a black church. When the camera pans back, there is a room full of white people. This shit is happening on a platform in a church full of white people. Full of white people. That they, Lord, that these black women being held captive by the patriarch in the head attempted to kill this baby's giant. That's what they did. They attempted to, what they were calling a demon was this baby's innate understanding that everything was wrong with this display. Everything. She was the smartest person in the room, and they knew it. And the patriarch and every last one of them attempted to slay this giant. This is the David and Goliath story I was telling y'all the other day. David was the bad guy, baby. David was the bad guy. In that story, David was the bad guy. Evidenced by, what did he have to do? He had to take the rock and blind Goliath's third eye to kill him. He had to blind Goliath's third eye to kill him. This is that story. That story I just told y'all a month ago, that baby was it. The patriarch holding these black women hostage did exactly what he needed to do. His attempt was to slay the giant, presenting herself in this baby in the room. Oh, that's, man, it was so hard to watch. So y'all pray for that baby. Y'all cast conspiracies of protection over that baby's life. Do that. Y'all do that. Because what happened to her, and they kept adjusting the camera to make sure, talking to the camera, I just want y'all to see. I just want y'all to see. This was a shame ritual. This was a shame ritual. They were so haughty. in their ability as 4 grown women to subdue a baby. This baby was 11 years old. And instead of the mother listening to her daughter and saying, why would be the first person that my daughter think be her stepmama? What am I missing? Have I not been? It wasn't a judgment of her mother. It was to say that we know how life for mamas be. And sometimes we do not be as present as we need to be because we working and we hustling and we doing all the things. And instead of this woman saying, automatically without judgment, looking at herself and saying, why would my baby say that? Why would the first person she would think to thank would be her stepmother? Not as shade against the stepmother. Where am I not showing up? Not with judgment, not with self-criticism. Where have I missed the boat? Where have I dropped the ball for my baby? Am I at work too much? Do I need to rearrange my life in a way that I can be more present? Because she is obviously communicating a hurt to me. This is what my baby is communicating in the moment, is a hurt. And instead of that, the patriarch in her head say, she the child. She should be seen and not heard. Unless she's saying what you want her to say, she should be seen and not heard. So you need to go on and attack whatever because she is talking about you. She talking ugly about you in this moment. That's what the patriarch in her head was saying. So she could not even, as a mother, see that in that moment, her baby was communicating a hurt that she could not articulate in any other way than to say, I'm thankful for my stepmama. Because what my mother is unable to do, my stepmama is able to do. And if the patriarch had not ruined every last one of our relationships, women among women, then the mama could have even done a step further and say, you know what? Because the system is crap, because I have to work 2 jobs and have a side hustle on the weekend, I'm so thankful that my baby got another mama that can pick up the slack for those places that I don't have the ability to be present. That's a stretch, because you hate every woman that has any contact with your babies, because you have been perpetually pit against one another, housewives and all of this dumb shit being forced down your gullet. And especially if you black, there ain't nobody that hate black women more than black women. I know that's some shit y'all don't want to hear, but don't nobody hate black women more than black women. Ooh. And especially Christian or Arab black women, Muslim black women. Nobody hates black women more than black women. This is our deeply internalized white male patriarch with white hair and white robes and a white beard and a white heaven. It's not a judgment of us. It is for us to be still in our mother and say, look, man, we can't be talking about what we say in the global conspiracy to right all wrongs, huh? We can't be talking about the global conspiracy to right all wrongs and not do a deep introspection about the role we have played. We play a role because we live in the world. We play a role because there's a patriarch that's taking up all the goddamn real estate in our skull. We all play a role. It doesn't mean that we have not been victimized by this thing. But it also means we have to be honest in the deep introspection about how, when we were blinded by the light, we participated, we facilitated, we caused pain and harm to others, whether it's verbally, whether it's in our behavior, or whether it's physically. That's this period. That's this period. The end of victimization. The end of victimization requires that we too take responsibility. Doesn't mean that we're bad human beings. The mother knows our heart. She knows our intentions. She also knows what has happened to us in our blindness. But it is to say that once we go on this journey with her, we can't just say, oh, well, that just happened a long time ago and I ain't even going to think about it. We have to go deep and back and break every spell even those that we spoke in our ignorance. Even those that we spoke in our ignorance. It's not enough to say that those of us who incarnate with uteruses have this powerful ashe that literally when we open our mouth, we impact the material world, and not go back and say, oh my God, I remember when I didn't know no better. I was just mad and I was a rebellious teenager, but I said I hate my mama in a fit of rage. Do you know that when I went home 2 years ago to treat my mother while she was going through cancer, the first thing I said the first day I got there before I put my hands on her, I said, there's something I need to say to you. And you do not know that these things have happened, but I want to confess to you. See, we done spent all these years going in the booth and confessing to a dude on the other side of the booth. We done gone and fell on our face confessing to a make-believe Jesus. We done made all these confessions to everyone except our own mama on this actual material earth, who sacrificed her goddamn body, her actual flesh, to ensure that we had a destiny that was our own to execute. She did that. Even the worst mothers among us, the one thing they did was say yes to our lives, giving us the opportunity to make an impact on the world in this moment. I'm telling y'all what happened. I got on my knees in front of my mama. I said, Mama, look, there's something I want to say to you. I know it may make you uncomfortable and it don't feel right to you, but I need to say this before we walk into this place where I'm going to be putting my hands on you and treating you for 6 weeks. I said, I want to tell you that I apologize. I apologize for every wrong I ever did to you, for every harmful and hurtful thing I ever said to you, for every attitude I ever gave you, for every hateful thing I said under my breath or in my head about you. I take it back. I undo it. I am wrong, and I ask for your forgiveness in this moment. That's what I said. It's not enough. Not only that, I spent 2 years doing the same thing with my daughter when she lived here in this house. 2 years. Memory after memory after memory after memory coming to me seemingly out of nowhere. I was like, damn, I didn't even think about that. One of the harms of what is imposed on young mothers is to go through the most foundational years of your children's life in a blur, just making ends meet, just doing what you got to do, just doing, so that you cannot even be present to parent in the way that you would have liked to have been parented. But the mother gave me the ability for my daughter to come here for 2 years and for me to take responsibility for the myriad of ways I dropped the ball with parenting my daughter. The excuse doesn't matter. The reason doesn't matter. The reason doesn't matter. The reason is what we have to resolve. It doesn't become an excuse. It is to be present without judgment, without feeling bad. Saying, baby, Morgan, you remember that time such and such and this and this? She'd be like, no, Mom, I don't know. I don't remember that. She would say that so many times. I said, well, you know what? It came to my consciousness for a reason. And so I need to sit you down and talk to you about this thing that happened when you were 11, or this thing that happened when you were 13, or this thing that happened when you were 16. And I want to say that I apologize, that I had to remember it for some reason. And for this reason, it came up into my surface, my consciousness. It is for me to say, I take responsibility for the ways that I dropped the ball in parenting you in my unconsciousness without the information that I needed. But I have the information now, and so I can go back into your childhood. Because I see in this moment how that one thing is showing itself in how you are parenting your children right now. I see me in you. And I want to be the one to say, I am so sorry. I apologize. I take responsibility for the ways that I did not show up for you at this moment when this thing happened, or how I was too harsh in my punishment or my judgment, or for the many times I spanked your ass when I didn't know better. I was doing what was done to me, thinking it was the right thing. This is the work that I had to spend 2 years doing in this house right here with my baby. So that the spell cast on me would end with me. Hopefully, that I had enough of an impact, perpetually taking responsibility for the ways that I could see in my child how I and the impact of the person she trusted most on earth negatively impacted her worldview as a child. Not to judge myself, not to feel guilty, not to make her feel guilty or bad, to say, even though you don't remember this moment, I see clearly the impact of this moment on your life, and I am uncasting that spell. I am, in my words, healing the harm that I caused to you as a child. That I did not have the information then, but God damn it, I have it right now. And it is my responsibility right now to go back into your childhood and mend what was broken. To heal what you experienced in your body as a betrayal. That's what it was. When I spanked my child because I think this is the only way, because it was driven into me, spirit of rod, spoil the child, spirit of rod, spoil the child. That every time I laid my hands on my baby, I stopped whipping her behind when she was 11, but I still spanked my child. That every time I spanked my child, whether she understood it or not, in a way that she could articulate, every time I laid my hands on my baby, it was a betrayal. It was a betrayal of her. It was a betrayal of her sovereignty. It was a betrayal of her destiny, is what it was. It was a betrayal. It wasn't some cultural thing. It wasn't me shielding her from the big, bad, evil world. If I don't spank you now, you ain't going to know how to move. None of that. None of that. Every time I laid hands on my daughter, it was me embedding in her very flesh, in her very DNA, the seeds of the patriarch that would blossom in her skull. That's what I did. That's what I did. The antagonisms that I had with my mother, this is what ceremony taught me. This is what ceremony taught me. Now, to each his own, but I'm just sharing with you what happened to me. And what Spirit told me the first time I did ayahuasca, unlike all the people I've done ayahuasca with talking about butterflies and shit, what Spirit told me the first time I did ayahuasca is that it's your responsibility. That the reason that you chose this life, the reason that you chose, that you said yes to your daughter, that you chose your mother, is because you would have access to something that they did not have access to. And that if you can mend the relationship between you and your mama, between you and your daughter, that it will reverberate in every direction, all the way into the future, all the way back into the past. You have the ability to change your entire line. And it's not going to be hard work to do. But you have to do it. Why? Because nobody they didn't choose this. This is not the destiny that they chose. This is you. This is you. And it meant action. It didn't mean me praying to my ancestral shrine over here while avoiding actual conversations and a relationship changed with my mother. You can do that. Giving the water, giving the food to your ancestral shrine. But your ancestors are here. When you feed you're feeding your ancestors. When you do a ceremonial bath for yourself, you're bathing your ancestors. You're bathing your shrine. You're bathing your temple. When you do ceremony, when you become engaged in ceremony, your eyes are looking at the flickering of the candle. It's not something that's happening outside of you. You are the temple. You are the altar. You are the shrine. Your ancestors fully live right here. So, baby, you ain't got to do all that extra. It's nice. We appreciate it. But what you really need to do is to worship your mother. That same shit, opening your mouth, believing with your heart, and admitting that you a sinner, that you do with the mythological Jesus, do that with your mama. Do that with your mama. You that falling on your knees and praying, the Doba laying that you do in E5 when you salute the Orisha. You understand? Take your ass home and go on your knees and tell your mother that you want her forgiveness for those things that you did, whether she knew about them or not. Admit the things. Admit the things. And say, I take it all back. Every spell I cast, because everything that you say out your mouth is a spell. Everything that you say out your mouth is a conspiracy. What are you conspiring to? What are you conspiring to create when you open your mouth? Are you speaking hate and harm? Nah, I can't talk to my mama. I get it. Don't come for me. I recognize a lot of us have really, really complicated and sometimes harmful and malignant relationships with our mothers. But a lot of us give a lot more grace to strangers, to ex-lovers, than we give to our own mama and her flaws. But I just wanted to tell you that story because it wasn't just about my mother. It was about my daughter as a mother. My daughter, we go to therapy to quote, what is it? Reparent our inner child for the failures of our actual parents. Well, while my baby was here, I was like, you know what? There's certain work she gonna have to do on her own. But me as her actual living parent, I too can go back to her inner child, her baby, her little baby, in the places where I dropped the damn ball, where I failed her. And in real time, attempt to take responsibility for those things that I did in my conditioning, in my ignorance. It does not excuse them. It doesn't excuse them, my ignorance. That I did what I did. And the only way to heal and mend it is to go back and take responsibility for it. Say it out loud, mean it with your chest. That's what I experienced when I saw them do what they did to that baby. And they didn't even do it in private. They put that child on display for the whole world in a room full of white people watching these 4 Black women come down on this giant like the most evil thing that existed. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So those of you, because I was talking for 2 hours on a live that apparently wasn't live, and I don't even know if that was lost, but I started out by saying that the breakdown that I promised you and the interview that I promised you for the breakdown of the Matrix movie, I'm gonna have to get up off here because something's going on with my YouTube anyway. For the breakdown of the Matrix is next Thursday. I wasn't ready. I called the girl that I'm going to interview 2 days ago. She's like, oh my God, that's so great because I'm not ready either. So we're going to do it next Thursday. I promise you before the weekend's end, I will be emailing you the Eventbrite link so that you can register for that because it's not going to be live. It is going to be a Zoom conference that we do for the breakdown of this, for the breakdown of the Matrix. And the breakdown for those who register is also going to come with a booklet that I am assembling right now. So it's not going to be, just me talking. I'm going to be teaching, and I'm actually pulling together a booklet that you will receive once you register through the Eventbrite for the Matrix, and it's going to be a 3-part series. Hopefully I can do it in 3 parts. It's going to be a 3-part series. So, so for those of you who are tuning in, I know, QB, but we have a world to change, baby. You have to be an overachiever in a world like this. We have a jack move to pull. You understand? And the more of us come into the space, you feel me, the less work I have to do. See? So that's how that works. So I'm pulling together a booklet. It's gangster. I'm just saying. And so those of you who are tuning in via TikTok, if you're interested in participating in the Matrix movie breakdown and why it's relevant today, email me at EvoEmeTemp at that's EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. Put Matrix, just put Matrix in the subject header, and I will send you an email with the Eventbrite link in it so that you can register. I think I only have enough spaces. I think my particular Zoom can accommodate 100 people, something like that. So that's where it's going to be done. It's going to be done over Zoom. 1, 2, 3. It'll be 3 parts. The first part is going to be awesome because I'm going to be conducting an interview of an astrologer who does birth charts for movies. So the first part of the 3-part series is going to be me interviewing this girl about the astrology of the movie The Matrix. I'm too hype about it. Too hype about it. This girl's brain is so deep. It's so deep, y'all. It's so deep. Okay. Then I have a surprise for you. I'm facilitating another discussion because part 2 might actually be another interview that I'm not going to drop the ball. I'm not going to drop just quite yet, just in case it don't pan out. But hopefully it pans out, because if this happens, y'all gonna be so, y'all gonna be so lit. Okay, so then I'll do my breakdown of the movie after I conduct this interview with the astrologer, and hopefully the second one can be a second interview by a VIP. And then I'll do my breakdown. But I will give you guys, as soon as you register, I will email you the booklet, the digital booklet of my notes that are going to correspond with that. So if you're interested, email me at EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. This is the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence email address. You can use, for those of you on TikTok, if you have been fed by anything that I have said over this 3-hour, actually 4-hour live, then you can support the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. You can use that email, EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com, to send either a Zelle or a PayPal donation. You can use $DaughterOfTheFates, FATES, to send a Cashapp, or Cassandra, CASSANDRA Floyd, FLOID, to send a Venmo. You can support. I have a GoFundMe that is actually live right now. So you can go to my YouTube channel, or you can email me for information on how to support and share the GoFundMe. Go to support and share the GoFundMe. And then also, you can also go to my Etsy store. Everything that I do is a fundraiser for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So you can go to the Etsy store, because right now everything is 25% off all the way until the new year. For the rest of the month, everything on my Etsy store is 25% off. That is huge. So if you need spiritual tools, I have several books available on my Etsy store. 488 unique jewelry pieces on these earrings that I have on. I made, you feel me? So I think 488 unique jewelry pieces on my Etsy store. So that's another way that you can support, is to go to DaughterOfTheFates, FATES.etsy.com. If you're on YouTube, you can become a paid subscriber. Once you become a paid subscriber, be sure to email me, because YouTube has not gotten that thing down in a way. So when you become a paid subscriber, be sure to email me with your YouTube handle, with your YouTube name, and your email address, and your membership, so that I can make sure that whenever you call, as soon as you become a YouTube subscriber, like a paid subscriber, you automatically get discounts on all the services that I offer. So yes, that's the other thing. If you want to get a divination or a 5 elements wellness consultation, use that email address, EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com, and I will send you instructions on how to book either a divination or a 5 element theory wellness consultation. Okay, those are the ways that you can support. I think I have said it all. If you want to participate in the Matrix discussion, please be sure to email me. I will send the Eventbrite link out before the end of the day Sunday. I'm going to try to have it out tomorrow, but worst case scenario, end of the day Sunday, it's going to be next Thursday. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to be out of here. I still got a good hour and a half, 2 hours where I can go dancing on this here Gemini, on the eve of this Gemini full moon. You feel me? Last full moon of the year. Be deliberate in what you are focusing on. Do not get caught up, because people are going to be playing in your face for the next 2 weeks. I'm just letting you know that the state is going to be playing in your face. You have the ability to corral a certain type of power and energy and focus through the year, through the rest of the year. You understand? So whatever is fighting for your attention that means you no good, whatever is fighting for your attention that is set to harm you, it don't get no spot on the block. It don't get no spot on the block. You understand? I would encourage you to listen to me read Pure Lust, because if anything can get you hyped about the possibilities, if anything can get you hyped, that book, Pure Lust, did that. That book, Pure Lust, did that. So I'm going to end by saying I'm so glad that I was able to come and commune with you guys this evening. I am so thankful for the mother's intervention in our lives, her ever presence, the ever presence of her just like rooting for us, cheering us on, like you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Look for that. Look for that. Look for that. Look for that. Do not look for the controversy created by your opposition. Do not look for the controversy created by your adversary. Do not lean into the confusion created by your adversary. Say you gonna go out, you gonna leave this year swinging on behalf of the mother, swinging on behalf of the children of the mother. You understand? Look for her presence through the chaos. Wherever they mad, wherever they throw in a temper tantrum, look for her presence in it. Look for her promise in it. She promises us the Garden of Eden. She promises us heaven on earth. That's what she promises. Now, are we going to assist her just like the little young Indian sister? Spirituality with responsibility? We got to be the facilitators. So let that be your energy. Let that be your focus. You understand? Let that be your meditation through this Gemini full moon, entering into the 12/12 portal. Let's end the year swinging. Let's end the year like we actually in a contest. Let's end the year guns blazing. Let's end the year with our swords sharpened and our dancing shoes on. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. I will see you guys. I am going to do a live tomorrow, so I will see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow is technically the new moon. I mean the full moon. So if you want to take advantage of divination, I am going to be available all day after 11. I do have a meeting first thing in the morning, but after 11, I will be available all day to facilitate divination. I will not be doing any 5 elements wellness consultations tomorrow. That is a different kind of thing. It requires a different kind of preparation and thought energy. So if you want divination, that's what I will be offering, 30-minute sessions or 60-minute sessions tomorrow. So if you're interested in divination on the Gemini full moon that is tomorrow, then email me at EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com. Put divination in the subject header, and we can go ahead and schedule out the day of readings for y'all. Okay, I might even do like mini readings in a live tomorrow instead of like talking to y'all. I might just do I might pull from the Kali deck tomorrow. I might do that. I might spend like an hour, maybe 2 hours pulling from the Kali deck tomorrow. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Now I'm gonna go dance. All right, peace.